Hey, you've got Black Star, and today we're going to go over the Norns right here. That's a device that I've been using a lot, more and more recently as I sort of unlock its mysteries. But in my videos, it's probably hard to tell what is going on. So it's kind of one of those Swiss Army knives that will integrate in pretty much anyone's audio setup. So basically, you can buy from Monome a pre-built official version for like $800. That was not in my budget, especially when I didn't really know what it was or what it would do or how it would fit into the setup I wanted to create. Fortunately, they have a shield that works with a Raspberry Pi 3B. The shield is about $50. The parts, the case, everything needed to build this yourself runs between $150 and $200. Basically, if you're comfortable soldering, this will be no problem putting together for you. You can see the Pi is sort of the bottom layer of the sandwich here. It's got your SD card, USB ports, Ethernet. The shield sits in the middle of the case, so it locks into the pinouts on the side of the Pi 3, and then you would solder in the pinouts to this screen that go into the shield. You would solder in these 3 buttons and these 3 infinity encoders, and that's really it. It's a real quick, straightforward build. All the capacitors, transistors, everything is integrated in there. There's nothing crazy you have to do. So nice, easy build. Right now, I have it hooked up to my Korg Nano Key 2 as the MIDI controller into the MIDI port 1. Usually, I use my micro Korg for a MIDI controller for this because I like the velocity keys and some of the mod pitch shifting things you can do with it. But for this quick video, I opted just to pull out the little Nano Key. It also handles audio in. It has an audio in and an audio out over here. Audio in is great for sampling. You can run real-time effects processing on audio in. And audio out, I currently have going to my Deluge because everything eventually finds its way into my Deluge for processing, mixing. The Deluge is, it's a hardware DAW basically. It's a genius device. So that's going to go in to the Deluge and then output through there. So all this is the main screen, the main menu of the Norns, where it's going to list all the apps you currently have installed on it. The Norns is set up with Wi-Fi, so you can update it over Wi-Fi. You can install apps and everything over Wi-Fi. The software is incredibly easy to set up with their own firmware that you just plug into the SD card. They're instead of having to secure shell or remote desktop into the Pi, they actually have it set up where you have this. You can't see that. So if your laptop or cell phone is on the same network as your Norns, you can type in norns.local/maiden. And then it will connect directly to your Norns. Also, if that doesn't seem to work, you can just type in the IP address of your Norns. So I'm going to click my library right now, and it's going to tell me everything I currently have installed on the Norns, and then everything that's currently available from both Monome and the community. And you can just refresh the catalog and it'll go out to the repository and pull in everything. And then it tells you the name, kind of a quick description sometimes of what it does, and then they'll tag it, which I appreciate. So grid is another thing that Monome makes that looks like the Deluge, but it's really just kind of a palette of buttons that serves for a lot of different functions. I don't have that, and the Norns unfortunately can't, or the Deluge can't substitute for that. So usually I overlook those. The arc is another thing. So a lot of those I kind of, and crows, pretty much grid, arc, crow, I'm going to avoid because I don't have those devices. But here's soft cut sequencers, MIDI LFO, and then if you want to install something, like we'll just grab this Benjolis here, which is a chaotic synth. I'm just going to click install, and then it will just work on installing that. And I may have to restart, or it may just end up showing. Oh no, see, now Benjolis shows up right there. So let's get into some. Obviously, I'm not going to go through everything. I haven't gone through everything, honestly. There's so much here, and honestly, I don't know that I have the mental capacity to understand some of them, but it's like you're always finding cool stuff. So let's do Awake, which is a step sequencer. Turn that down just a little bit. So here I can adjust the steps. I can turn them all the way off. I can turn them all the way up. This button is randomizing. This button will move it down to the second row, and I can start adding in. I can change the root note, I can change the beats per minute. The top encoder usually controls options. I can change my loop lengths if I want a longer loop using these two encoders. And then go back to step and just plug in. This is actually one of my favorite ones just to kind of mess around with, because you can't really get a bad sound out of this. Just messing with it, having no clue what you're doing, and probably even more so if you know what you're doing. But just to come up with neat little sequences, I don't know. Anyway, so the top, as I said, is kind of your main menu button. So right now it's showing you the menus as pertains to the particular app you're in. You can, here if I click select with this button, it will take me back to the main menu to select things I want to use. We have a system menu, and if I want to put the system to sleep, I can do that from there. If I use the top button to go over either parameters, I can go through and adjust reverb levels, the compressor, clocks, beeping, like pretty much anything. If you really want to get into any of these apps, like really sort of the guts of it and all the parameters that it's using and edit them, you can do that from this. And this pertains to basically any app that you have installed. Here is a recorder. All the apps, this is actually sort of a global setting. All apps will allow you to record straight from the app, and then save it as a sample onto the Norns that you can then put into other apps in the Norns, that, at least the apps that allow you to load the samples. And then this is just your basic monitor. So let's go back to, let's try something else. Let's look at Benjolis. So this, when you first click on it, you get kind of a description of what the app does and what each of these keys and encoders do. So it tells us that it's a Norns version of Alejandro Olarte, I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong, Benjolis SC patch. I'm not sure what that is, but if... Oh, I probably have to restart it. So we will move to a different... I probably have to restart to finish the installation. This is a quantized delay with time bending. We'll see. Sometimes it's difficult, maybe. I have a pocket operator for just an external output setup, so maybe. Okay, there we're getting a little. So there we're getting just some kind of funky. So this, yeah, it's just, looks like it's giving you some different delay options. This is a polyphonic synth with 6 operator frequency modulation. Looks like we're kind of randomizing. This may be for the grids. Oh, there it's letting me control. Glitchlets, I've used, this one gets pretty funky pretty fast. And again, I don't fully understand it. Usually there's documentation on the app repositories. But basically, we'll take an input and we'll grab a span of time of the sound file that it's inputting. And then you can adjust the multiplication, not real sure what that does, and the amp, 30%. I don't know if that's the probability of whether or not it's going to start the glitchlet or not. And then I believe the last one, I don't know. I would have to look more into the documentation, but we can. So see, right? Yeah, it grabbed it right away and. Doing. So you see it's kind of hopping all over the place, grabbing snippets of sound and then reworking it. Certainly fun. Gray Hole is sort of I think that needs an input or sample, yeah. So it's kind of, it's a reverb or maybe like a sound shaper effect. Adjust your feedback, diffuse. For a second. Molly the Poly is one of my favorite. So it's a polyphonic synth with patch creator, but the patch creator is randomly generated, so every time you push encoder 3, it's going to create a new patch with random parameters. Ooh, let's turn that down a little bit. go to pads. So if you want to play on pads, this is more of a pad centric. It'll generate more pad centric. Sounds a lot like lead to me, so I don't really know. And then the last one is, the last ring is percussion. So unpredictable, but if you're looking for a sound and you don't really know what you're looking for, definitely some inspiration. So this NCO1 is a bunch of different drones that get kind of fun. Let's see, so here again it gives you what all the things do. So this is just like that whole package, and some of them that was just one install I did, but it will install sort of a package. So this is cycling through different drones. I think I've used that one before. I think this one's kind of cool. Yeah, this one, so it looks like encoder 3 is your density, which is graphically illustrated by I think these are supposed to be telephone poles or just T's, maybe. Top is your volume, which is represented by the stars. And then I believe encoder 2 is frequency, which is represented by the moon. This one has 3. So cool stuff on that you can, lay over another input. Not that those two really go together, but just so you can see, you can use a line in and use that. And I've used this one or a similar one on some of my videos. Pools is pitch shifting reverb. So that's the dryness, which is sort of the dampening. Wet is more of a width or a room, maybe. And shimmer gives it sort of a feedback in the background. Reels, if you've used an OP1, this was modeled after the 4-track. So this is basically someone took the 4-track recorder from OP1 and put it on the Norns. I don't ever use this one, actually, but here you can cycle through which track. You can fast forward here, you can, I think this is your master level. So that's your playhead, and then I don't recall how to load onto Reels. But there is documentation. I'm sorry, everything, I record and mix everything on the Deluge, so I never really use this. But if you're looking for, if a mixer, recorder, or whatever is something you're looking for in addition to a lot of the other things that Norns does, it's another thing where, like, this is, I mean, this and kind of an input device is kind of all you need. Showers I've used, I mean, it's just a rainstorm basically. So it's just a fun thing if you want to add a rain background, which I've done in one of my videos. and you adjust volume, density, some things like that. It's cool things. Timbre I like. So it's a synth that assigns a timbre at different frequencies based on what. And there's other players for that. This, I think, I'm missing something here. But there's a lot of other stuff. But that's sort of a quick overview of how the Norns works. Some of the apps that are available. As you saw, there's tons of apps available. You can spend a lot of time digging into them. Some of them are fun little apps to just add sound. Some of them are, you have full-blown synths in here. Drones, sequencers, recorders, all sorts of stuff. So just kind of a little Swiss Army knife in a tiny box that can run off of a little battery pack. So that is it. I hope you found this informative, and have a good day.